Jens Lapidus brak internationaal door met zijn boek Snel Geld, in het Zweeds Snabba Cash. Dit boek werd verfilmd tot een trilogie van films en recent verscheen er ook in Nederland een razend populaire en op de boeken gebaseerde Netflix-serie. Deze Snabba Cash boekentrilogie bleek voor Lapidus het begin van een grote carrière. Want na het schrijven van deze Stockholm Noir-trilogie begon hij een nieuwe boekenserie getiteld Stockholm Underground. En ook in deze reeks verhaalt hij over de snoeiharde Stockholmse onderwereld en de figuren die erin rondlopen. Deze duistere thrillers werden stuk voor stuk bestsellers en werden verfilmd tot de serie Top Dog. Nu komt Lapidus met het 5e deel in de Stockholm Underground reeks Dead Man Walking. Voor mij een goede reden om Jens Lapidus te bezoeken in Stockholm en hem 5 prikkelende stellingen voor te leggen.
Yes, to a certain extent I always enjoy my latest book the most because that's the book that I'm still kind of into, and it always takes a couple of months before I forget and start getting into the new book. Having said that, I really enjoyed writing Dead Man Walking, and I really think that I hit something in that book. I came close to something that I'm always looking to come close for, and that is the inner dilemma of the character in this book, certainly the character of Teddy. Well, in this book, the struggle is real for Teddy. What kind of person does he want to be? And it's always this pull between him going back to his old life or to the life of a thug, of a gangster, of the easy money, of just, always running towards this goal. And the other Teddy, I mean, he has the angel and the devil, who just wants to take care of his son, who wants to come back to Emily and live just in harmony, so to speak. I'm afraid there's a yes too. When I wrote my first books 17 years ago, I kind of opened up a door into a world that very few Swedes knew existed at all. And a lot of people said to me, is it really like this? Is it really like this? And I said, yeah, it actually is. I mean, I was quite early in pointing out these things. But in those days, it existed, I wrote about it, but it was still a minor problem. Now, the statistics are very bad. The statistics are shocking. And since 4 or 5 years ago, Swedes are waking up like, what? Are we having this in our society? And how did that happen? And, and to be honest with you, the statistics are very bad. With a lot of shooting. Having said that, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I think sometimes media is kind of blowing it up, and the politicians and everybody are blowing it up into, mega proportions. I mean, it's bad, but it's not like you're scared when you walk the streets of Södermalm. And it's not as bad. It's not nearly as bad. I came back from Rio. Come on. It's not even a tenth of what they have in Rio de Janeiro. So, I mean, it's bad. We should take it seriously. We should battle it. We should talk about it. The politicians must do something about it. But it's not like we don't have a war going on. It's not like Rio de Janeiro, Mexico, or some towns in the United States. So it's still, it's not a good situation, but we should not be alarmist and we should not blow it out of proportions. No. Well, I like research, but if you would have asked me 7 years ago when I still worked as a criminal defense lawyer, I didn't even have to do research. Research was coming to me, information was coming to me, inspiration was coming to me every day. I just sat there doing my job as a lawyer in the court or in an interrogation room or meeting clients, and I got so much inspiration every day. I quit. I need to start making my research more in an active way, like most authors, obviously. I have to call people, I have to go to places, I have to read books, I have to read articles, I have to watch movies and so forth. So now I do a lot of research. I enjoy it, but I enjoy even more getting into the text and starting to write. So I usually have a quite long period where I kind of read and gather information and try to plan what I want to write. And that can get kind of boring after a while. So usually I don't wait until I'm done. I start right before. With my previous books, I worked more like, I will show you. So this is my chapter, my planning of chapters. You can call it synopsis, but it's shorter than a synopsis. Yeah. It's just a few lines on each chapter, just to keep the story together. And it looks something like this. Yeah. So here you will see the different lines of Teddy, Emily, Max, and Josephine, the four main characters. And so this will be chapter 1, starting with a date, and then very briefly what's going on in this chapter. Then you have chapter 2, which then is Emily's chapter, very briefly what is going on there. Chapter 3, Max chapter, starting with a date, Josephine's chapter, chapter 4, and this is how it goes on, you see, for a long document. So this document is a work in progress. So usually I maybe work out the first third of the book, but then I get bored and I want to start write. So I start writing. It has also to do to get into the story and for me to get into the characters and actually knowing the characters and knowing where these stories have to take me. I have a very hard time theoretically planning that. I need to practically write it out, which is a bit ineffective because what happens then at the end is that I need to start changing this as I go along and I need to go back then and change things. So maybe other authors, and I know other authors, they are much more planned. They make this document or a similar document beforehand and they have everything planned out, and then they actually can write out the actual book in a quite short time. But I for me that doesn't work. Sometimes in a chapter it's like I don't even know where this chapter is going to end, but I feel where it have to end, because when I'm writing it, maybe I planned for the character to get angry. But when I'm in that point in the actual chapter and I'm sitting there writing it, I feel no, he won't get angry. He will just laugh and go on. And I cannot plan that. I need to be in that situation to understand it myself. One, but I would say no, but it is fun. Yeah, that was a hesitant no, but because I love really doing both, and I think doing both has become even more important to me after I finished my job as a lawyer, because writing, as you can see, it's quite solitary, quite lonesome work. I sit in this room, or I sit at home, or I sit in a cafe, and I'm alone with my text. And I'm going to make all the decision. I'm also going to be the one coming up with all the creative solutions. And of course, I can send my text and discuss it with my editor or with some trusted advisors. But still, everything's up to me. But TV and film is a group. It's a team experience. It's a group work with screenplayers, directors, producers, and then later on, people who cut the whole thing and add the sound and everything. So I think, and I like that. I like that it's a teamwork. I like that it's a social thing. And very often when you're in the screenplay room, what you call the creative room, where you're going to make all the ideas up, I find that 1 + 1 is really 3. A lot of ideas come up there, ideas that I would never manage to come up with by myself. So I really like to have that, and I enjoy doing that and doing both. And since a couple of years ago, I set up my own production company. So now it's not only that I'm selling my rights to someone and then maybe I can contribute a little bit. Now I control the whole process and I'm involved in the whole process together with my partner. He's a producer. And so, for example, Paradise City show that is soon up, it's my own company, my everything there I could be involved in. Yes, for sure. Well, as you have lived here for a number of years, that it's absolutely big no to say that what I just said. It's very Zlatan. It's very Zlatan. It's very non-Swedish. So I think you have to You don't say that, what I just said. But still, having said that, I don't think I'm necessarily the greatest. Obviously, there are many good noir writers. But what I think is that I try to be original. Because there are so many good Swedish noir writers, but a lot of them write in the same vein. A lot of them write in a style that it can be good. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not good, but it's very much of the same. It's very homogenic. It's very much, you have someone getting killed, then you have your protagonist coming in, solving the murder, and it follows a certain formula. So in Sweden, you have this term deckare, and when I'm reviewed by Swedish media, they don't call my books deckare. They call it something else, like criminal suspense, but I'm not even called a deckare, because a deckare is, as you say, it's more like Scandinavian noir, or it's more kind of a certain style which follows quite strict formula. And for me, writing according to formula, I don't know, it would feel too contracted, too limited. You might say, okay, so you don't write according to the Scandinavian noir formula, but you write according to your own formula, and your books obviously have huge similarities to each other, so you kind of follow a formula too. And I think that's right. I think that's correct. I also follow a formula, but at least it's my own formula first. Secondly, my ambition, I'm not saying that I succeed in that, but my ambition is to change. So I hope that if a reader reads my last book and compare that to one of my earlier books, the reader will say, no, this is something different. It's not completely different. It's not that I wrote a romantic love novel, but at least it's different. I try to evolve and develop as a writer.
En daarmee was mijn gesprek met Jens Lapidus ten einde. Ben je nou nieuwsgierig geworden naar zijn nieuwe boek Dutchman Walking? Je bestelt het via onderstaande link eenvoudig als e-book of paperback bij de online boekhandel. Vond je deze video leuk? Druk dan even op het duimpje omhoog. En wil je op de hoogte gehouden worden van nieuwe thrillers, romans en andere boeken uit Scandinavië? Abonneer je dan op mijn kanaal als je dat natuurlijk nog niet bent. Voor nu zou ik zeggen vanuit Stockholm, hedel.